Hi everyone, Ravi this side. Welcome to Engineering Adda. So today I will be discussing about the Spring Wave Flux and I will discuss about the asynchronous and non-blocking concept in the wave flux. So I will create one simple project, okay, and there I will describe you how the asynchronous thing is achieved and how non-blocking thing is achieved using the Spring Reactive. Okay, so I will discuss these things there. So let me go to the IntelliJ and let me create a project called asynchronous and non-blocking. So I will discuss both of the scenario, synchronous and blocking and asynchronous and non-blocking, async and non-blocking Spring app. So let me create this. I will use this Lombok and I'll going to use this Spring Reactive Web. So create it. So here I'm not going to connect with any of the database. Okay, because for the Spring Reactive I need a reactive databases. Okay, so I will cover the future video about the reactive databases and how we can connect with the Spring Reactive and Spring Reactive framework and the reactive database and how we can do those things, how we can create the APIs there. That I will cover in the next video, but this video I am just going to brief you about the synchronous and blocking concept and asynchronous and non-blocking concept. So I will be giving you the difference between both of them and how we can achieve using a simple project. So I will show you those things. So let's get started. So let me see if it is configured as a Maven project or not. So let me open it first. So it is not configured as a Maven project. Let me close it and reopen it so that I can show you. Open recent asynchronous and non-blocking Spring application. Open in a new tab. Okay. Here I will get one notification from IntelliJ to load this project in the Maven. So you can see, and then yeah. So what I will do, I will just create one entity user, and I will create a let's say DAO class where I will be generating the user's ID and user's name, and then I will create a service class and then controller class. So those four basic concept I'm going to cover. So let's say it's entity, and then using this I will create a API which is a normal API and how it is taking up the data from the DAO class, and I will create a webflux API and I will show you how it is different from the normal API. And the working of the webflux API is asynchronous and non-blocking, while the working of the normal API is synchronous and blocking. So those two things I will cover here. So let me create a package called DAO. Similarly, the service and controller. Okay, that is controller. Now let me create the entity with the name user. So let me create a class called user. Okay, so user will be having only uh, two variables. Let's say private integer ID and private string name. Okay, and I'm just not going to create the getter setters and all argument constructor and no argument constructor. I'm directly using the annotation because I use starter dependency Lombok. So with the help of that, I'm going to do those things. All argument as well as no argument constructor. Now coming to the DAO class, I will create the user DAO and let me create the user DAO and let me annotate it with the component so that we can generate the bean of this. Okay, so and let me create a method which is returning the list of the user. So let's say it's a user and get all users. Okay, and come here. So let's say it return the int stream dot range. Let's say I'm returning a what say 1 to 10 users. So it will return the user from 1 to 10. Okay, so let me map it to the user object, and then what I will do, I will just collect it into the collector. Like I'm using the Java 8 annotations here, and then using that I will call those things. Before that, I'm just going to use this pick, and I will process each of the users record. So for that, I'm using pick here. Let's say I'm printing out those things. Okay, process count or user count, you can say. Process user count, and here I can just provide this thing, and then what I want to do, I just want to map it to the object. So let me go down, and here I will just map to object. Okay, and the object should be of user type. So let me do that. New user, and here what I'm going to do, I'm just going to provide the user ID and the username. So let's say user ID is I and username is, let's say, user and then uh, ID, something like that, plus I. Okay, and now what I will do, I will just simply collect this and collector.toList, collectors.toList. I will convert it to the list. So if you know the basic features of Java Stream API, then you might be knowing these things. So let me import this. Okay, so this is working fine. Okay, now let me create the controller for, sorry, let me go to the service and create a service for this user service. Okay, and let annotate it with the, because it is a service class, let me annotate it with the service. So it will be creating the bean for this class. Okay, now coming to, I need to create one method which is returning the list of user, and get all users, and here I will call the DAO method. So I need to auto wire the, let me auto wire the user DAO here, and then user DAO, let me use it. Okay, now what I'm going to do, I'm just simply calling the user DAO and method get all users and simply returning it. So it will return the list of the users. Why it is giving error? Let me go to the DAO. So here we have the list of the users and it is returning that. Come to the service class. Let me see what is there. Make user DAO get all public. Okay. So come to the user DAO. Okay, it should be public. So we are good. Now come to the controller. I'm going to create a user controller class. Let annotate it with the REST controller, and then do a request mapping REST controller, and then request mapping to map some URL here. Let's say I'm going to call it as API. Sorry, API. Okay, now I'm going to create a get mapping and let's say map it to the all users from list, something like that. And then I'm just going to create a method which is a returning list of users. Okay, get all users, and then what I will do, I will just call the service method here. This is what traditionally we do. I need to auto wire the service object here, private user service. Okay, user service. Let me import this user here in this class. So I'm able to import it. Let me import the list also. Okay. Now with the help of the user service, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to call the user service class method and then I will simply return it. So uh, what is happening here? Let me show you the flow again. I created a user entity. I created a user DAO class which is returning all the which is returning the tail number of 10 number of users record. Okay, and using the service we are calling that method, and using the controller I'm creating one API which is calling the same. Okay, now let me change the server port 9091. Okay, let me save it. Now let me run this application and then we'll see if it is working fine or not. So yeah, you can see that this application is up on 9091 port, and let me go here 9190. Let me see the port number. It is 9091. Okay, let me come here 9091 API, and then what we did is get all users from list. Okay, let me hit it. Let me check the API again and then I will show if it is good or not. So all users get is not there. So it is all user from list. Let me hit it. So we can say we are able to see ID as one and name as user one. So for all the 10 users, we are able to see the records here. Okay. But this is a limited number of users. Okay. So we are not able to see the delay into the processing. Let's say if there is a million of record that we are going to fetch, then there will be a delay. Okay. If all the records is fetched from the database, all the million record are fetched from the database, then only it will display to the client. Here it is a 10 record or 50 records, then we are able to see those things at an instant. But if it is a million of record, then once all the record will be processed and then it will be visible to the client. So it will take couple of times, couple of minutes it could take. But in the so that like the flow of this API is synchronous and blocking. That means one by one it will process all the records from the database. Let's say it has a million of record, then it will process all the record from the database. Until then the user is blocked. It is not showing anything to the user. So it is a synchronous and blocking approach. Okay. Let me show you this example using I'm going to introduce a sleep of let's say 1 second or 2 seconds, and then I will show you how it is behaving. Then you will be knowing that yeah, it is a synchronous and blocking approach. So yeah, come to the application. Let me go to the user DAO and let me create a sleep method. So let's say private static static void wait, something like that, wait for some wait for some time. Okay, And what we are going to do, I'm just going to call thread dot sleep, and I'm passing 1 second. Okay, let me use the try catch here. Okay, now what I will do, I will just call this here, so that whenever one record is fetching from the database, or let's say one record is created, then it will make that record, one record is processed, then it will introduce 1 second delay to fetch the new record. So for that I'm going to do pick, and here with the method reference I'm directly calling the, sorry, I'm directly calling this wait for some time method here. So what is happening is wait for some time method will call, okay, and it will wait for 1 second once the one record is fetched. Now let me rerun it, and then I will show you what is happening here. Okay, so let me come, yeah. So let me come to the browser. Yeah, it is up on 9091. Let me hit this API. So you can say it is taking some time. It will take 10 seconds. Beside you, here you can see that each record is processing. Okay, once the 10th record will be done, now you can go to here and you can see all the details is fetched. So this is what my point was, that if it is a million of record, then it will take all record to be processed from the database once, then only it will show those records to the client. So to process millions of record, it will take hours and hours. So the client would be waiting for hours to fetch the records, to see the records. So this is a synchronous and blocking way of doing the things. But uh, with the help of the reactive programming, what we can do, we can reduce this thing, and we can achieve the asynchronous and non-blocking approach of development. So in asynchronous and non-blocking approach, what will be happen? The when the client will hit the API, then from the database it will pick up one record and it will process that record, and then that record will be displayed to the customer or to the client. It will not wait for all of the record to be processed and then it will show to the client. Okay, so that is the advantage of asynchronous and blocking, non-blocking approach. So it is not blocking the time and it is asynchronous in nature, because it is not waiting for other thread like one by one. So it is whatever thread, sorry, whatever record is fetched, it is just displaying that record to the customer or to the client. So let me develop that thing and then I will show you. So come here and come to this development. Let me create a, come to the DAO class, okay, and let me create one flux here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy this method and then I will show you how we can implement the this whole thing using flux. Because we are using reactive programming and because we are using the list of users, so we need to use the flux here. I already have discussed that flux is used for more than one entity. So get user stream, something like that we can say. And here what I'm going to do is I'm going to it's a whole total different way of doing the things when we are dealing with the flux. So it is not int stream, it is flux dot range. Okay, and then we need to provide the range here. Okay, and then to introduce the delay, we need to use the delay here. Delay method is there, so that we need to do. So delay elements, something like that is there. Let me see. Delay elements. Okay, now duration of seconds. Okay, duration of is there. Let me go for duration of seconds. Yeah, now I will providing the 1 second delay. And then what I need to do is I need to for processing those elements I need to do there is a method called do on next. Okay, and then to map there is a method called map. So we are done now. Let me remove these things and come here. So this is the way how the Flux is implementing. Now coming to the uh, service class, let me create one method which is calling the DAO class method for Flux. So it is a list, not list, it is a Flux of user. So it is a Flux users get stream here. Okay, and then we are calling the Flux method. So let me import this Flux first. Mm, let me get a stream. Yeah. So we are done with this. Okay, now coming to the controller class, what we can do, we can simply copy paste this and then here from Flux. We can remove from list and do from Flux. Here we need to do like Flux and then uh, let's say stream. And what we are going to do here, what we are going to call is stream. Okay, now here what we need to do, we need to pass like we are dealing with one event at a time. So that should be the parameters here. So let me pass the value as this should be the value. Okay, let me pass as value. Okay, let me go there and then let's say value is equal to this and parameters should be on event. Okay, so let's say params is equal to media type dot let's say what is the media type it is. Let me import the media type first. It should be HTTP media type. Yeah, Spring Framework HTTP. Okay. Let me import that and then yeah. Let me call the on event on this. Why it is not taking up? Dot. Yeah. On. Sorry. Event. Yeah. Test event stream value. Something like that. Okay, so what is happening here? We are creating a API, but we are passing media type as an event. So each event will be triggered and then the value will be displayed there to the client. So let me rerun this application, then I will show you how it is performing. So we need not to wait for each of the record to be processed from the database and then we are showing those record to the client. If one record is processed, then we'll show that to the client. So let me rerun this and then hit this API and then I will show you how it is working. So yeah, it is up. Let me go to the browser. Here I just using this API. Okay, why it is not coming? Okay, 9091 only and then copy this all user from Flux and then yeah, come here. It should work. All user from Flux and then hit this API 9091 only. Right? Yes. What is happening here? Nothing. Okay, let me check and then I will let you know. So I was using params here, but it should be produces. Okay, so let me rerun this application and then I need to hit this API to show you that how it is working. So let's say it is up. Yeah, it is up on 9091. I'm using the same API. Let me hit it. So you can see each time we are not waiting for each of the records. Whatever record is processed, we are getting that detail here in the client. So this is how the asynchronous and non-blocking approach is using the Spring Reactive. Okay. So this is about this video. If you like the video, please hit the like button. And for such content, please subscribe the channel.